What is going on, everybody? This is Mike Hughes, and you are listening to the Give Us a Shot Network. So before we say a single thing about the Bears, make sure you give us a like, give us a follow, subscribe if you haven't already, leave an ignorant comment, share the post, say you love it, say you hate it. I really don't care, as long as you see it. View's a view. But, we're back at it. Shy Kid Podcast. Got some news. Didn't really expect to be doing an episode today, but any excuse to do a show with my man Tony Hollinsworth of Inside the Hoosier Mind is always a blessing. Tony, how you feeling, man?
I'm good, buddy. The Bears sitting at 4-2. You know what's crazy? You could be in the NFC North at 4-2 and sitting in last place. Like how? I don't understand. I don't understand. But hey, maybe this is the year an entire division gets into the playoffs. An entire division gets into the playoffs.
That'd be crazy. Now
I feel like it's possible. I don't feel like it's out there.
I feel a lot more confident now with the Vikings losing back-to-back games.
Yes.
I definitely do feel like we're kind of right on the brink of being number one. We're fourth right now, but we're a game back. Let's be completely honest. Like, we're right there. And the way the Bears have played against the Detroit Lions over the last couple of years, I'm very confident in playing against them as well. Obviously, a big part of that was Justin Fields. I felt like Dan Campbell had a really hard time through the first 3 quarters of adjusting to Justin Fields. But that fourth quarter, I felt like Justin always shit the bed against Detroit, but it is what it is, so hopefully Caleb can bring us a little bit more luck. He's a little bit more clutch in the fourth from what we've seen thus far. I did want to show you on live, Venom 3 comes out today, no promotions, but, and I didn't even get to see the movie because the thing froze. I was like, just waiting there, like Snoopy when he's just watching TV, and I'm like, just waiting for something. Nothing ever came. I was like, man. I knew it was about like Null and like the Dark Void and like all this stuff. I'm like, pretty dark, man, really dark. Actually, the screen's not even on.
Is this the movie? Did we get eaten by Venom? Is this Venom's POV? Is this what we're looking at?
Venom's belly. No, but I did get this $40, super dumb. But I love collecting this stuff. I knew if I went tonight, they'd be gone, because I remember when I saw Deadpool and Wolverine, it was gone. I got the Venom popcorn bucket, super neat, super cool. I'm digging it. Shout out Andres. I'm not gonna say where I got this, but his name was Andres. Shout out Andres, who made me pay $40 for this bucket and did not put popcorn in the bucket. He said, yeah, I'm not legally allowed to sell this until 7, but you can have it. And I was like,
okay. I mean,
I was like, give me the bucket. I was like,
I say, give me the bag that you pop it in or something. Like, give me the curtain. Like, I'll pop it at home. Like,
I could have did. I got the little smoke outlet in my car because it's like an old car. So I'm like, I could just like pop it outside.
They like do that. Just give me a little to-go cup of butter. I'll take care of it, bro. Don't worry about it.
But it was me and Venom. It was me and Venom like this, just waiting for the movie. We were like, hello.
He got that same look.
No, but this was a lot tougher than I thought it was gonna be, bro. I really do like it. I don't know. I think I'm just gonna leave it. Like, I know you can't see everybody watching, but I think I'm just gonna leave it in the stoop, just like this. I think it's super clean. But man, how's the Jersey life, brother? We were talking a little bit about that before the show. You got some new digs, I saw.
I do. I got a new Jamar Chase jersey, all stitched. Got purple with white sleeves. Got the LSU Tiger eye all sewn in on the sleeves and whatnot.
No Alabama logos.
Yeah, no Alabama. I texted that to you. So for anybody that doesn't know, be careful about whenever you order cheap jerseys from websites. Don't get it twisted. I got some really good quality jerseys from them, but I sent Mike this. I got an Oklahoma Sooners away white jersey that says Spencer Rattler on it, and then it's got the Alabama Crimson Tide circled A on the collar where the logo crest goes.
I don't think I ever got your text, bro.
Did it not go through?
Possibly not.
Weak.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was
no, you're good. But nonetheless, I just want it prefaced. I don't care for Oklahoma. I definitely hate Alabama. I did not order this jersey. I don't remember what jersey I was supposed to get in place of this one, but they're like, we're just going to give you a jersey, and it's going to be this one. And I'm like, this. I don't even know how y'all screw this up. I have no idea how this gets messed up. Like, everything is sewn. If it did not have the Alabama A on it, I'd be like, man, some Oklahoma fan would probably really like this.
For sure. Or some Spencer Rattler fan somewhere out there. Maybe Jim Cross would dig it. But no, Jim Cross Cross hate to Alabama. So like it's the Alabama part that like messes me up. Because honestly, bro, if I would have got at that time, like when was this? Maybe a year or two ago.
No, this was 2021.
Okay, so even better because at that time Spencer still kind of had that like promise of maybe being that guy, maybe like
Mm-hmm.
turning into something special. So like you could have sold me on it. You could at that time. I was still in on DJ Uagalugale at the time. So dude, know how that turned out. But
DJ, you need to get a job, and it's
DJ
not as
was
a starting
flipping
quarterback.
burgers. Yeah.
Just put the fries in the bag, bro.
Shout out to the NIL deals because they saved that man's ass. But man, let's get into it. Let's have a real conversation right now. The NFL trade deadline is upon us. Obviously, if I'm not mistaken, it's November 5th.
I think so.
The Chicago Bears not only release one of their fullbacks today, but waive a former third round pick, 2022 third round pick from the Tennessee Volunteers. Go Big Orange. Velus Jones. Velus Jones Jr. obviously was given every single opportunity to have success in Chicago. Even the butt end of the joke, it was on Hard Knocks where they put him at running back because they're just trying to find something you're good at, brother. Special teams didn't do it.
Yep.
You're a fumble turnover machine. Wide receiver wasn't cutting it, especially with this wide receiver core. Put him at running back. Honestly, wasn't bad in the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
But with DeAndre Swift, Roshan Johnson, and Khalil Herbert, you really never had a chance to begin with. Tony, I want to ask you from a college perspective before anything. What went wrong with Velus Jones? Why didn't you see the transition from college to what we see now in the Chicago Bears?
I think for a lot of times this really kind of shows you the different levels in coaching, and it also shows you what type of team are you on. So he was selected in the 2022 draft, or the
Yeah. Sorry.
yeah, so 2022 draft. So that was 2 seasons ago. So was he on the team that beat the Bama team with like Hendon Hooker, Jalen Hyatt, and all them?
He definitely did play with Hendon, I would say, because it was
Okay.
2022 was the year he was. No, well, maybe he didn't.
All right.
No,
He
maybe
probably
he
did the year
did.
before. He
Yeah,
probably did the year before.
Hendon played over 3 years.
Yeah. But nonetheless though, I mean, you gotta think about that. Look at the names that we just mentioned that's on
Right.
that Tennessee Volunteers team that, hung 52 on Alabama,
Yeah, go Big
GBO.
Orange.
Good GBO.
Yes, sir.
Alabama can't win in the state of Tennessee this year.
Just hung it again. How you feeling? How you doing? Come on,
Anchors
baby.
anchors down, go Big
20,
Orange.
24-17. Fuck with Rocky
Uh
Top. Come on.
But nonetheless, though, like you look at all those big names that are on that Tennessee team, it's kind of easy for you to not only get lost, but it's also easy for you to show out when you're in college, when you're surrounded by that level and type of talent. Because, okay, hey, we got to worry about covering Jalen Hyatt because he's a deep threat and because he can catch the ball really well. We got to worry because Hendon Hooker can not only sling it, but he can also make a run for it. So
Right.
it's like Velus Jones.
Cedric Tillman was there as well, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was.
I think so. But nonetheless, though, you've got a great core there and great players in Tennessee. Then you come to Chicago, which no offense to the Bears, but you really look at the first 3 years without Ryan Poles, with Matt Eberflus, it was a mess. You've got a quarterback who is trying to learn multiple different offensive systems. You have an offensive coordinator that was absolutely trash when it came to that.
Still trash.
Yeah, still trash, 100%. So you don't really have a running game established. You have an offensive line that is, absolutely, piss poor. And then now you have a defense that's complementary, but that defense can only do so much if your offense can't move the ball. Right. So really for him, it's hey, you need to really step up and show your skill set. Well, now you get exposed because you had first and second round talent all the way around you in Tennessee. You come to Chicago, all right, man, this is why we drafted you in the third round. You don't necessarily have to be a starter, but we're expecting you to be a starter in at least a year or two after, some guys will potentially move on. You're going to get some experience. We expect you to bulk up, get a little bit bigger, get a little bit faster. And, for some dudes, they're not able to make that transition. And I mean, you got to remember too, the NFL only has 2,000 active players in it a year.
Right.
So, I mean, you're going to have a ton of collegiate athletes. It's like it just doesn't work out.
No, for sure. And I think okay, so here's my problem with what you're saying, right? And it's not exactly, what you're saying, because that's valid. Everything's valid. When you talk about, you come into the Chicago Bears organization, it's Darnell Mooney, I think Allen. No, I don't think Allen Robinson was here at that point. I think it was just Mooney, Pringle,
Yeah.
and Velus, if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
mistaken. And Pettis obviously was there as well.
Yep.
Chase Claypool, yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, man, the big issue is when you talk about skill set. Okay, fine. If you're, in a horrible wide receiver core and you're kind of being put in a position to where you have to be more than what
Mm-hmm.
you really are going to be, that's fine. Devin Hester was the same way. Devin Hester
Mm-hmm.
was a shit wide receiver. Let's be completely honest. Had moments,
Mm-hmm.
loved D Hest, but
Yep.
we knew what he was good at. And I know what Velus was good at. To
Yep.
have 4 fumbles in your career as a special teamsman, as a kick returner or punt returner, whatever position you want to put him at, it's just bad. Like it just
Mm-hmm.
didn't translate. It was nothing that we had ever seen from him before
Mm-hmm.
at Tennessee, and that was one of my biggest issues. Was okay, fine. If you can't catch the ball, if you can't run the ball, that is what it is. But you gotta be able to be a part of the special teams unit. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, man, I remember when the NFL, when they made the new rule about the kick return, and the
Mm-hmm.
NFL posted Velus Jones Jr. like it was like this huge thing,
Like
and
he
then
was going to be the next guy.
yeah, like he's the GOAT. And I remember talking to my boy Kev about it, and I'm like, yo, like why is Velus Jones Jr. on anything NFL related on social medias right now? Even we thought it was like blasphemy at the time. So
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely one of those things where, you were given every single opportunity to have success and you just shit the bed. And that's
Yep.
not on Luke Getzey. That's not on, the coaching staff or
Mm-hmm.
just the wide receiver room as a whole. That's really on Velus Jones Jr. because you're the
Mm-hmm.
one that fumbled the ball, bro. Like
Oh yeah.
that's what it comes down to. I mean, Calvin Johnson, you can say whatever you want about, oh, well, he didn't have good coaching and he didn't have a good, wide receiver room. Calvin Johnson became Megatron in Detroit when Detroit was scum. Like
Mm-hmm.
Detroit was the worst place you could ever go in anything in this world. So for
Yep.
me, that's really what it comes down to. But we're gonna have my guy Kevin here, but he's doing a lot of leg stuff right now. He's getting back. He's getting back on the field. He's gonna get healthy, and we're wishing him nothing but the best. Lapka Lake will be back. Really excited to see him get back after it. Kid's fast as a bullet. But I want to talk to you a little bit about the trade deadline because the Chicago Bears make this move. They also release a fullback as well. You kind of get a feeling that something's happening.
Mm-hmm.
You're filling out roster spots. You're making sure you got a little wiggle room. Um, what do you anticipate the Chicago Bears do around the trade deadline? Because I know Kev is just waiting for me to start. He even said, I'll even pull up the exact quote. Kev said, I'll listen, and if you say Cooper Kupp's name, I'm unsubbing. So yeah, get ready for that because I am definitely all in on Cooper Kupp to the Chicago Bears. Kupp is one of my favorite wide receivers. But where are you at right now? Do you think it's O-line? Do you think it's defense? Do you bring in another receiver?
So I'm gonna throw something out there that might, I don't think it's necessarily going to surprise you, but I
Mm,
think it needs to be done. But the only thing is, I don't really think of a name that would make that big of an impact if they went and got one. I think they need a running back upgrade.
mm.
Because I'm gonna be honest, because you look at the big names that the Bears have, like the Bears got some pretty good names as
Yeah,
far as Khalil Herbert, Roshan Johnson, and DeAndre Swift combined. They got 626 rushing yards on the season. Bears are 24th in rushing offense right now. Not
okay.
necessarily saying that it's a bad thing, because I mean, again, this is a new offensive coordinator. It's a new offensive line.
Swift had a slow start. Like
Swift
there
had
was a
kind of a
lot to
slow
it.
start. I know Kevin's kind of giving me a little bit of grief about that in the comments. As crying
No,
face with the
let me
running
tell
back
you something,
upgrade.
bro.
But
Kev is the biggest DeAndre Swift supporter since day one.
hey, don't get me wrong. I like him. Like I watched him at Georgia. I watched him, in Detroit. I watched him in Philly.
Nah,
Now I'm
I hate
watching
him.
him in
I can't
Chicago.
stand the fucking guy. But
It's like
that's neither here nor there. That's just
like
my personal beef.
like I'm gonna say this kind of like I did about Kenny Galladay when Detroit was like, yeah, we're not signing you. Like if
Yeah.
Detroit got rid of you back during that time, all the way up until Dan Campbell took over,
Right.
there might be a little bit of a question mark behind your name as to
Sure.
what are you really bringing. Now I
Sure.
will say with Frankie, you already know that's not true. You know that's not true. But anyway, um, when you look at Cooper Kupp and you look at Matt Stafford, I know had they lost to the Vikings last night,
Right.
that this would probably be a different conversation because I
Very.
think they would potentially move off of both of them. Both of them have an injury history. Both of them are going up against the cap pretty difficulty. But now, because they're sitting there at 3-4, you got the 49ers that are sitting at 3-4.
Yeah.
Seattle's sitting there at 4-3. And honestly, Arizona's sitting there at 3-4 and has got a couple
Mm-hmm.
surprise wins. So it's like, all honesty, the Rams are still just as in it for the NFC West right now as anybody.
No, for
So,
sure.
why would you? I'm not necessarily say why would you quote unquote blow it up to
Right.
completely start over, because I mean eventually you're going to have to, like, this is going to
Mhm.
be a long rebuilding process for them for sure.
Yeah, and will McVay be a part of that? We really don't know. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, there's a lot to it. I
Because
think big for me, and I wanted I kind of brush on it very quickly because you and I were kind of talking about it in the group chat earlier in the week. There were rumors that maybe something's materializing between the Minnesota Vikings and the Los Angeles Rams with Matthew Stafford. I never really felt like that was something that was going to happen. Maybe it still does. Who knows? I know a lot of people have kind of debunked that, but for me, I don't think they go into an absolute rebuild because of Puka Nakua. You
right.
you cannot just set him up to fail. You after having one of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen from a wide receiver, and now you're just going to take his starting quarterback. And we've seen what the wide receiver room looks like for the Los Angeles Rams when Matthew Stafford isn't on the field.
Right.
Bennett isn't going to be able to do what he did at Georgia. I'll just say that
No.
the man's 35 years old, still in college. But
Well, and I'll say this too on the other side of that. If you're Minnesota,
you got JJ.
say you not only have JJ, but do you really feel that right now, as you currently stand, you have a team that you're going to say, we absolutely have to go all in? This is
Yeah.
100% going to be our absolute best chance to win right now if we go get Matt Stafford as our quarterback.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, Sam Darnold ain't,
Yeah.
he's not doing bad.
It's a slap in the face to Sam for sure,
It
and
is.
it's I don't know how the locker room would really feel about that. Kevin's in here already says Minnesota won't make the playoffs. I'm here for it. You know what I
I'm
mean? I'm completely okay if they don't. But I will say one thing: Kev knows just as well as anybody else. When you have Justin Jefferson on your team, I think anything is really possible. They got T.J. Hawkinson coming back,
mhm.
waiting for T.J. Hawkinson to come back because I got Kyle Pitts. So I'm never confident in fantasy football. It's hit or miss, baby. It really
Dis-
is. One week I'm
disappointment
on
every
top.
week.
No,
Dis-
he's been eating up. He's been
Has he?
eating up. But he has. He's given me over 12 points in the last like 3 weeks straight. So
Okay.
I'm waiting for the disappointment, but I'm here. But
Okay.
no, like I think the problem is I don't even think we're having this conversation if JJ McCarthy doesn't tear up his knee.
Right.
I think he's probably starting at some point in the next half, but for me it really does come down to Sam. I
Mhm.
think Sam has done a phenomenal job with what he has, and that's exactly what he did in San Fran. That's exactly what he's done in organizations that actually have great coaching. I know Kev's
Mhm.
gonna hate me for it. I know everybody in the chat's gonna come at me because everybody on all these different platforms and all these different networks, we need to praise Matt Eberflus for what he's done. He's created a beautiful, beautiful culture. Listen, Matt is still that guy who last year had the most blown saves in a single season going into the fourth quarter. Matt is still that guy who is hiring dipshits as his offensive coordinator, and that's just what it is. And if you hate me for that, that's just it is what it is at the end of the day. And you know how I feel about Matt Eberflus. Great defensive coordinator, great defensive mind. He has rebuilt hopefully the monsters of the midway within the next couple of years. And
Mhm.
that's perfectly fine, but so did Vic Fangio. I wasn't offering Vic Fangio a head coaching job because we saw how that ended up in Denver. So
Yep.
that's how I feel.
Mhm.
I'm not going to praise this guy for just doing his job,
Mhm.
because then when there's other sides of it as a head coach, there's a lot of other things he's not doing that he should be doing. You know what I mean? So for me, I think it's really just going to come down to who wants it more in this division.
Mhm.
And really, does Matthew Stafford thread that needle? We've seen how Matthew Stafford does play against NFC North teams to begin with.
Yep.
The Bears have owned him his entire career. The Green Bay Packers never had an issue. The Minnesota Vikings never really had an issue.
Mhm.
And at this point in his career, I really don't see it. But Frankie did bring up a comment. Kev, please hold your horses because I'm not going to go there, but I might go there. Cooper Cup's still on the market after last night, is Frankie's opinion. And I'm kind of with him because
Mhm.
I think for me, despite what you have going on, I want to read two quotes to you
Okay.
because Cooper Cup and Puka Nakua both came back at the same exact time, correct? Same
Yes.
game,
Mm-hmm.
same. This is post game, by the way.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp has a touchdown. Puka Nacua doesn't have a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Sean McVay on Puka Nacua's return said, yesterday in practice, Puka looked really good. Once you tease me, you're going. He is a war daddy. He's a stud. Now, Sean McVay on Cooper Kupp's return said, I'm really glad to have Cooper Kupp back with us, and that's why I expect to stay that way. That's what I expect to stay that way.
So he's simping for Puka, but
so
Cooper
one's
leaves a little bit more like,
one's a war daddy, and the other is like happy he's here.
Yeah,
Cool.
like I kind of expect that. Which to me, that there's that little bit of that wiggle room. Like I expect it, so it's like, maybe he's still gonna be there, maybe not.
Yeah, I definitely do expect Cooper Kupp to be moved. Now, is that going to be to the Chicago Bears? Kevin says I'm unsubbing. That's all right, buddy. I'll see you Saturday. I'll get your phone. You'll resub. You'll resub, whether you know it or not. But in all seriousness, I do expect him to go somewhere. We saw the Kansas City Chiefs were definitely actively trying to get him. I believe it just came down to draft capital. They didn't want to give up a first or a second round pick, which honestly, if I'm them, is there anybody you're drafting 30th to 32nd overall in the draft in the first round that's going to be better than Cooper Kupp?
That's really what I was going to say. Because heck, by usually, depending on if it's like a quarterback deep draft like it was this past one, that everybody was scrambling to go get a quarterback. Most of your top wide receivers are probably going to be gone in your first 10 rounds. So
you can make that argument too that, oh, well, it's because, the best ability is availability and we don't want to trade away a pick for a guy who's not healthy. And then you did exactly that for DeAndre Hopkins, who's never healthy. Also, the steroids. Let's not forget about D-Hop and his steroids. I remember. Tony, neither of our cameras are focusing today.
I know, it's weird. It's tripping
It's on my side, too. I'm pissed. But we're just too handsome cracking the screen.
I know, but I will say too, here's the other thing that I'd make the argument. If you're in the case of the Chiefs, and I made the same argument for the Bears too, when a lot of people were like, why did they go get Keenan Allen when they already have DJ Moore and they get Rome Odunze? Because you look at how many guys have been getting hurt in the NFL, and I mean this happens every single season. Teams are just riddled with injuries. If you can have a deep wide receiver core like that, where you can rotate dudes in and out, and you don't have to force one dude to just carry the workload every single time, and when he goes out, it's we're just SOL because we don't have our top wide receiver. It's like, they still have Xavier Worthy on the team for the Chiefs. They've got Juju, albeit he's Juju. They've still got him. They still have Travis Kelce. So, I mean, you got 3 top decent quality targets right there just in that. And then you add D-Hop into it. Now, obviously, I mean, hey, D-Hop doesn't have to be that big guy that he was in Tennessee anymore. It's like, okay, they can give that to Calvin Ridley. D-Hop can just kind of come in, make a couple plays, and he's good.
Was he even that in Tennessee? You know what I mean? Was he even that? Was he even that in Arizona?
I think they wanted him to be in Arizona,
but again, he, though? You know what I mean? Like,
because he was
injured. Kyler also torn ACL at the same time, whatever. But I haven't really seen I'm gonna use some Kev logic here because he loves the word aura. I haven't seen D-Hop with some aura since he made that catch with the Air Jordan gloves on, and that's really the last time I saw D-Hop do something of not importance, but of significance.
Yeah.
Hey.
But I haven't seen it since he was in a Texans uniform. Like I haven't seen it with Arizona. Haven't seen it with Tennessee. And unless something like drastically changes with Kansas City, I'm probably not
like Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper gets traded to the Bills, and I'm like, that's huge. I saw Amari Cooper have 200 yards in a single game last year. He's an animal. Like I know Amari Cooper is one of the best route runners in football. Argue with your mama, not with me, because Amari Cooper is the best route runner in football next to Devontae Adams.
I saying that's been undisputed from multiple athletes, current and past.
Yeah,
like, no, he's one of the best wide receivers.
When I say something, I'm like, oh, Amari Cooper is one of the best route runners, and people are like, you don't know ball. And then like Devontae Adams and George Kittle will be like, yeah, he's one of the best route runners, and people will be like, yeah, totally.
Yeah, I hear you. Shannon Sharp, I think Cam Newton, all of them are like, if you want a nice route ran, you're going to Amari Cooper.
Before we continue with the Bears and potentially getting an offensive lineman, maybe a pass rusher, I don't think the cards are in right now on a running back, Tony. That's just my personal opinion, brother. I think, as much as I am not a huge fan of DeAndre Swift, I think he's really come along. Again, you can only play who's on your schedule. So some people say it's because, oh, well, blah, 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 we're playing
Hmm.
Carolina. What? I don't care. Because if he played
Yes.
like shit, I'd be pissed. So, I,
Yeah.
I I love what we're seeing from Swifty. Roshan Johnson, it reminds me so much of Tariq Cohen and
Hmm.
Jordan Howard, except, obviously Swift is 10 times better than Tariq Cohen was.
Yeah.
But shout out to Tariq Cohen. But, I think for me, the odd one is Khalil Herbert because I've
Yeah.
heard rumors that maybe Dallas would be interested, maybe the Minnesota Vikings, and something's materializing there.
Hmm.
I'm not trading him within the division. There, no, not a shot because I still
Right.
believe in Juice. I still believe in Herbs. He's still one of my favorite running backs on the team because I do believe he has that ground and pound mentality. Third down, you're first and goal. Like I believe in Khalil Herbert, and
Yeah.
I think I would send him to Dallas for sure.
Hmm.
I don't think I would lose sleep at night knowing that Khalil Herbert is on the Dallas Cowboys at this point in the season.
Yeah.
But the Minnesota Vikings, it definitely
That could be a little bit more of a threat because
it,
they
it
they
could
already
be
have a top back with Aaron Jones, and that
right.
and that's why I was saying, even though I think that they should get a running back, there's nobody right now that I would say you need to go
Who's
get that
even
guy and he's going
available?
to be a difference maker. And plus, all honesty, anybody that is that top running back right now, they're not getting traded.
No, no,
Saquon
and
Barkley's not leaving Philly. Joe Mixon isn't leaving
right.
Houston. Like they're
So
CMC's hurt, but he's not going anywhere.
yeah, no, and they're not going to trade Mason just because of
No,
what they got going. Maybe you'll get Elijah Mitchell out of it, but at that point, are you really even doing anything?
say
You know
you're
what I
not
mean?
really
So
even getting a quality starter. You're just
just bring
getting
back Velus at that point, but
right.
maybe not. The turnover ratio is still horrible. But I do want to kind of get into that next point because you talk about, when there are good players, they're normally not going to be available. And the biggest position I feel like this is always the case in is offensive line. Everybody
Yes.
says, oh, well, you have the second round pick from Carolina. It's going to probably be 33 or 34. You can dangle that potentially for, an offensive lineman. I want your opinion on that. Do you think there are any offensive linemen that are worth a second round pick that one are available, because we don't normally see offensive linemen of significance get traded. When we
No.
traded for Ryan Bates, I was like, yeah, we just traded for a guy that didn't even start on his own team. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Coleman Shelton comes on the Bears. Yeah, he made sense to why he was he was let go by the Los Angeles Rams. So, do you think the Bears can significantly make a jump in the offensive line? We've heard rumors that they might just bite the bullet. Hey, give me a seventh round pick and pay the contract to Nate Davis, and you can have him.
Right. And in all honesty, that might be the case because that's one thing I've always talked about. And I think the biggest case in point for that right now that proves it is the New York Jets and how bad their offensive line is.
Mm,
Because you look at it, what, three of their five positions are guys that were either traded or signed in free agency to the
yeah,
Jets. You don't let your quality, especially if you're winning, you
yeah,
don't let your quality offensive lineman walk. Like the Chiefs are not going to let anybody walk. Heck, honestly, you look at Minnesota right now has a really good offensive line. Detroit has a fantastic offensive line. They're not
mm-hmm.
letting any of those starters just walk
No,
for absolutely nothing. Like the Jets got Tyron Smith, who when he's healthy, he's fantastic, but he's got to stay healthy.
right,
They've got Morgan Moses that I believe they traded from the Ravens. They got another guy from the Ravens that they traded. If I'm the Bears, like I don't disagree. I think they do need a no lineman, but unless you're just absolutely sending a massive, overly paid package to a team for an offensive lineman, I feel like honestly, like you said, maybe get a seventh rounder, send Nate Davis, eat the contract.
yeah,
Because I feel like, especially in college, and you look at the places that you can get good quality offensive line out of, you look at Alabama's offensive line, they have two
mm,
or three prospects on that are going to be really good. Iowa is almost always known for having really good offensive linemen. There are key Will Compton out of my LSU Tigers, by the way. Go Tigers. Also an option. So to me, I would almost rather go with the draft, go with a young guy that you can
right.
keep for 4 or 5 years and
On a
grow
rookie
with
deal,
on a rookie deal that's cheap, rather than go maybe get a veteran that probably has some issues if that team is willing to let it go.
right. That's kind of where I'm at too. And I think, first of all, I do want to say something because I do know a lot of people feel differently about it. Nate Davis can fucking walk, and I'll pack his bags for him, and I'll walk him to the airport, and that's perfectly fine. If he needs a ride to O'Hare, I'm your guy. Just call me. You got my number. Because this guy does not want to play fucking football,
Yeah.
whatsoever. And I've watched the videos, and I've watched the film and the tape, and kind of just breaking down, why this offensive line is collapsing. It always starts with Nate Davis. Darnell
Mhm.
Wright had a really shitty start to the year, and I couldn't figure out why. And then you watch him when Nate Davis is sided next to him
Mhm.
versus not. And he looks so comfortable when Nate Davis is anywhere other than the field. He looks so comfortable. And then the second he's paired up next to him, alongside him, he's got too much going on because everything's just in his face. And
Yep.
I think for me, Nate Davis is one of those guys who, I understand he had a lot of personal things going on in last offseason. I will never, never say anything negative about that. If you got to miss time, brother, because there was a death in the family or something
Mhm.
occurred, it's perfectly fine. Then you miss the beginning of this offseason. And then you're
Right.
not even there during training camp, and you're not even participating. And when you are participating, you're there, and then you're gone for a few more days. Now you're not starting the season. Like, I'm over it. And when
Yeah.
you are playing, you're playing like shit. I remember
Mhm.
when we got Nate Davis, I was so hyped. What he was able to do in Tennessee, I mean,
Mhm.
he was phenomenal on the
Mhm.
Titans. Not the Volunteers. He was
Right.
an NFL guard ready to go. And he
Mhm.
was going to be one of the more experienced leaders on that offensive line. And he has been the biggest liability on the entire team, not named Velus Jones Jr. And guess what? You've been promoted because
Mhm.
Velus is gone. So that's definitely something for me where you just got to cut ties with the liabilities because you never know when those are going to lead to losses. And when you
Mhm.
miss the playoffs by one game, look at last year with Velus. We could have won that game against was it last year or 2022 against Minnesota? We almost won that game.
I think it was last year, if I remember right.
We almost won that game. I mean, Kelly Osborne, a bunch of other guys who have just completely shit the bed in the NFC North for so many different teams, both Vikings, Bears, Lions, Packers. We've seen guys shit the bed all around, and how it can just absolutely go to shit in a matter of seconds. You have to make sure everybody's P's and Q's are checked off. So for me, I don't believe there is an offensive lineman available that is worth that second round pick or even a third.
Mhm.
It's really where I'm at. Unless something crazy happens and Trent Williams says he no longer wants to play winning football, yeah, okay, mate, we'll consider that.
So
And
yeah.
yeah,
But
no problem.
even then I would be skeptical because
A lot of
he's
money,
been
older.
wanting a
Yeah,
contract. He's older, and again, not saying he's not solid because when
yeah,
he's been solid and he's been healthy, but yeah,
for sure,
I would
for
do it. And I
sure.
will say for Nate Davis too, this is what always kind of makes me laugh. Like you said, he came from Tennessee as a pretty solid guard. Like I remember watching him on all the offensive line. I'm like, that dude's a solid guard. He goes to the Bears. Like you're not that guy. You haven't been at that level because, like you said, when you play, you're not showing that. Oh, I'm too good for this team. I'm just gonna sit out. I'm gonna basically all but demand a trade. I'm gonna demand that I leave.
Yeah,
You're not that guy. If you
right,
were, okay, that's a different thing. Like we can maybe make that argument. But right
right,
now, no, you're not that guy.
for sure.
Like if you do it, you're just gonna get cut. In
Yeah,
all honesty, if that's really what you want, be an adult. Go tell them, hey, just cut me. Just
yeah.
cut me. I don't want to
A
be
lot
here.
of
Let me go
money.
sign
A
somewhere
lot of
else.
money to cut though if you're Nate Davis because I believe he's still making over 10 mil a year.
Yeah.
That's one of those things where I feel like that's why you're taking the seventh round pick.
Mhm.
And it's just like, hey man, you just eat this money, you can fucking have them. You know what I mean?
Right.
And maybe a team like the Baltimore Ravens are interested in a Nate Davis just
Yeah.
because that O line has changed so much, and obviously they haven't been great this year. Maybe you can hope and pray that maybe he just hated being in Chicago and that's why he played the way he did.
Mhm.
Maybe we can get something out of him that we saw in Tennessee, a glimpse. And with well, let's be honest, better offensive linemen than we have,
Mhm.
maybe they can also disguise or kind of make up for where he lacks. So that's really where I'm at. As far as Cooper Cup to the Chicago Bears, Kev, if you're still here, I'm fully on board. I don't care what anybody says. Please don't leave. This will be a quick little segment. I just got to get this off my chest. I'm definitely willing to trade Keenan Allen, who makes $15 million this year, and if I'm not mistaken, a second round pick, maybe our own, maybe Carolina's, for Cooper Cup, if potentially available. Hey, you still get Keenan Allen. He's back in LA. He's happy. Okay, cool. Now, bang, boom, right on the money. Got Cooper Cup, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, Mike Hughes is happy. That's just me personally. But again, yeah, it's you need a new garage and you fixed up the basement. And
Yeah.
it's really counterintuitive. It really doesn't make any sense to do that. Just something I would want. I'd love a Cooper Cup Bears jersey. I'd rock it all the time. Hopefully with the right logos when we get them off DH Gate and such. But I just saw that. That is wicked.
Oh, you
But
finally got it?
yeah. Before we get out of here, man, I do have a couple more for us. I want to talk about somebody in the wide receiver room who I feel like hasn't gotten a lot of tick, who I feel like, really had one good game over 100 yards against the Indianapolis Colts, but really hasn't shown out to be like his counterparts. Garrett says Tyler Scott, close. I'm looking right now at Roma Dunze because I see what Malik Neighbors has done with Daniel Jones. Obviously, he's the number one option and the only option, so like it makes sense. Marvin Harrison Jr. kind of hit or miss.
Yeah.
One week he's one of the best players in football, and I'm turning in my tombstone because I traded him away. But the next week he's kind of lackluster. He's very touchdown reliant. But
Yeah.
they're still having a lot more success than Rome Odunze. You watched all three of these guys in college. What do you think the difference is right now for Rome versus his two counterparts in the top 10 draft?
Uh, I'm going to be honest, and it's going to be a little bit of a slight against Washington. And in all honesty, it's not Rome's fault, but you look at the conference in which these two guys played in. Malik Neighbors played in the SEC, which, and I know this is a lot of times the big argument that the SEC, the Big Ten are the two big powerhouses as far as like NFL pro potential. You look at a lot of the guys that come out of both of those conferences, 9 times out of 10, those are your big stars in the NFL. You look at, my LSU is pretty much, NFL wide receiver university at this point because you've got Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Malik
Man,
Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. is finally coming into his own for Jacksonville.
he's phenomenal.
Like you had Odell for the longest time there. You had Jarvis Landry. So you've had all of these big guys come out of LSU. But you look at the type of talent that they face. You look at all these great Alabama defenses they faced. They faced Tennessee, they faced Florida, they faced Georgia. Like they face top tier talent that they've already faced before.
Right.
Same with Marvin Harrison Jr. They're taking on Penn State. He took on all those great Michigan defenses for so many years. He's taken on Maryland and whatnot. Even though some people are going to probably come at me in the chat for saying Maryland has had some top tier NFL talent. They may not be the greatest team, but they've had some top tier NFL talent.
And look at their quarterback play as well, by the way. You're looking at CJ Stroud for Marvin Harrison for a little bit. And then obviously Jaden Daniels. We're not even going to get into the Jaden Daniels conversation right now.
But then you come to Rome and you come to Washington. So you had Rome Odunze, you had Troy McMillan, and you had what was the third guy's name? Is it Polk? Is Polk the other guy?
It might have been
Trey Polk.
I felt like they kind of interchanged it, but for the majority, yes.
And I know Rome was kind of the main guy, but what was the toughest defense they had to face in the Pac-12? Right. Oregon. That's the toughest defense that they had to face was Oregon. USC with Alex Grinch as the defensive coordinator and Lincoln Riley, that defense is as solid as a wet paper bag. UCLA wasn't making anybody scared. Oregon State, Washington State, none of them are really doing anything to really scare you. Neither of the Arizona schools were doing anything. And, we all know Colorado is getting whooped as Travis Hunter is not on the field. So really for Rome, I think this is more of a reality check because yes, you're a big body guy with a lot of talent and you had a fantastic collegiate career, but you're going to have to learn now because you're going up against other dudes that are, at the same quality, if not better than you are on the defensive side of the ball. You're going to have to play a lot harder. You're going to have to play a lot smarter. You're going to have to kind of grow up and learn. And if I was him, and this is what I would kind of like as a GM, and I would hope would happen with a lot of my younger guys. That's why I would want a DJ Moore and a Keenan Allen, probably more of Keenan, because if I remember right, Keenan's a little bit of a bigger body than DJ is. Yeah. Like, I want you to kind of mirror how he's done his NFL career. You don't have to be the biggest. You don't have to be the flashiest. You just have to be consistent like Keenan is. Just catch the ball, at least be in bounds. You're probably going to be 1,000-yard wide receiver, each and every year if you keep doing your stuff. Maybe double-digit touchdowns, depending on how the offense is clicking that year.
Sure.
You can be solid, but you're going to have a lot of learning to do. And to me, that's the biggest thing is he really didn't play against quality opponents when he was in college. Because, heck, Washington couldn't do anything against that Michigan defense in the national championship. Now, how they were able to do it against Texas, that's kind of a surprise. But we learned out this past weekend, Texas likes to poop the bed when it matters the most. So,
No, for sure. And I think for me, like you said about Rome and Keenan, kind of mirroring that.
mm-hmm,
We never really expected Keenan to be that guy. We just
mm-hmm,
wanted him to be a veteran presence who obviously still has a little bit left in the tank, coming off of some career accolades last year
mm-hmm,
in certain categories. But I expected Rome to kind of mirror both of them. I think he
mm-hmm,
definitely can be a mixture of a Keenan Allen and a DJ Moore. He's got the speed like DJ, but he's kind of a
mm-hmm.
physical guy like Keenan. So like he's
Yeah,
he's got a great repertoire to be able to work with right now. He's got great mentors in the room. You talked a little bit earlier about how Velus had Byron Pringle and Darnell Mooney, Chase Claypool to work with. He didn't really have a
yeah,
lot to work with coming in.
yeah,
Neither did Tyler Scott. But
mm-hmm,
it's definitely one of those things for me where at this point in the year, we're 6 games in. Your number 9 overall pick in Roma Dunze, currently on the year, has 46 receptions, or pardon me, 17 receptions,
had a,
246 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. That for me, it just needs to be better than that. And
yeah.
whether that's Shane Waldron, or whether that's Rome needing to adjust, I think I haven't really been able to decipher that yet.
I
Just
say,
because,
and keep in
yeah,
mind that's off of 31 targets too.
right.
So like that,
You're meeting about
that
half,
is
a
a
little
question.
under
Yeah,
half. Like that's not great. And
yeah,
again, has Caleb been great either? With
right.
the deep balls, not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where Rome is very comfortable, and Rome's a deep threat guy, and
Yeah,
that's really where I've always kind of seen him being. So I've noticed they really haven't gotten into that at a consistent level yet. Now there's some games where Caleb has aired it out and he's done a very good job at that. But there's other ones where they're very conservative. They're just trying to get first downs, first down, first down, first down. And then of course on 3rd and 1, they'll air it out for a 40-yard bomb and miss
of
it
course.
because that's what Shane Waldron does.
Right.
Why get the first? Why get the
I
first? Let's
already
make it
say
harder.
he, you know, and don't get me wrong, I love the Bears. Who he'd probably be good with, because you know what they need to do. They need Caleb for the short and like intermediate passing, like the
Mm.
short and medium yardage. They need Anthony Richardson and Rome for like the
Oh
deep bombs,
man,
because Anthony Richardson's just
yeah,
throwing
he's
it
seen it
60
wrong.
yards and he's like perfect. He's just
Yeah,
like right in the breadbasket for a touchdown
but you
every
ask that
time.
man to throw a 5-yard in and out, like it's
he's
toast. He
like
can't do it.
he's like, I'm sorry, what? Throw it
Oh,
to the other team?
oh what?
Okay.
Uh, A 5 and out? What are you talking? No,
No.
but
No.
5? You mean 50? No,
You mean
but
50? 5-0?
nah,
5-0.
man, that's where I'm at as well. And I think like again, do I want the Bears to trade for Cooper Cup? No, you know what I mean. Like
Right.
especially because I'll be the first person that's running down the street naked celebrating it, but I'll be the first person pissed when Cooper Cup is on IR 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
And that's kind of exactly what happened with Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen
Mhm.
comes in. We knew he has a high probability at this point of his career to probably miss a little bit of time. Played
Yeah.
the first few snaps against Titans, immediately misses a couple of weeks. So,
Yeah.
you kind of want that continuity of guys who are going to play week in and week out. Cole Kmet's been phenomenal.
Mhm.
Garrett says Rome will be fine.
Oh yeah.
But he also says Godwin incoming next year. I wouldn't be
I
with hey, Keenan's a free agent, got some money freed up. I wouldn't be opposed to it. Just depends how much Godwin's looking for because he has had a couple nasty knee injuries thus far.
yeah.
Um, Garrett also said Rome will be like Godwin. It'll be okay. If Rome Odunze's ceiling is Chris Godwin, that is perfectly okay with me.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
That's a great spot, especially when you have a DJ Moore on the other side of things. But that's
Yeah.
where we're gonna leave it today. Obviously, Tony and I will go live if the Bears do end up making a move. Maybe Hassan Reddick will get traded as well before the deadline. Maybe not to the Bears. I'm not saying to the Bears, but
Right.
yeah, I'm a big fan of Taylor. I'm a big fan of Sweat. I really don't want to mess with the pass rush. I love it.
No.
I think
Mhm.
Taylor's a sneaky guy who's coming out. Kyler Gordon sneaking in there and on some corner blitzes
I
has
say
been beautiful as well.
I say statistically, I think they're top 11, if not higher, in almost every single category. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's about as good as you can get with an offense that I know. I think passing wise, they're ranked 20th, and I know rushing they're ranked 24th, which isn't bad. But I mean, all honesty, for the fact that like we talked about all offseason,
Right.
you got a rookie quarterback, you got an entirely new offensive system, you got a new offensive line, you got a new running back. While 20th and 24th isn't great, for the
Mm.
fact that that's your first year, you're sitting there at 4-2. while yes, you're last in the division at 4-2, you're still technically only one game behind in a very tight division. Like that, that's still pretty damn good. Like that's really nothing to hang your hat on. I saw one guy comment said that Bears are going to go 5-12, and I'm like, I don't know how, because they got to face the Patriots, they got to face the Cardinals, and then basically the rest of the NFC North.
That would be a historic downfall. I can't lie. To start 4-2 and finish 5-12 is historic. Like that
would be like
history.
That would basically Caleb gets hurt this next game, and then Tyler Bajan is your guy for basically the rest of the
Whoa.
Don't get me wrong, I like Tyler.
Tyson Bajan.
Every time I keep saying Tyler, I don't know why.
Bajan. I don't know. You got beef with the wrong one, bro, because he's one of them ones. I'll tell you what, Tyson Bajan could come in today, and I promise you, I'd bet my left cojones that the Chicago Bears go 8-9. I'll tell you that. Okay. I will tell you that right now. The Chicago Bears will be A-okay with Tyson Bajan at the helm. I'm still confident in that, man. That is the best backup in the league, Sir Tyson Bajan.
You know what I did? I tried so hard to make sure I didn't mess up DeAndre Swift, and then I fucked up and said.
What were you saying? What were you saying before?
Was I saying Devondre?
Yeah, I was like, that's not even a name.
No, not even close. There's no V. There's no V, bro. The V is silent.
Oh, man. But we appreciate you guys tuning in, man. Make sure you check us out on Give Us a Shot Network if you haven't already. Make sure you hit that follow button. You can check me out on TikTok and Instagram. 160,000 followers. How you doing? Appreciate every single one of y'all, man. It has been a phenomenal year. You can check out Tony at Inside the Who's Your Mind or on the Shy Kid TikTok because we go live from time to time. Check him out on Instagram, all social media platforms. At the Inside the Who's Your Mind. That is what it is. Man, Tony Hollingsworth, Mike Hughes, Give Us a Shot Network. You love to see it. It's a beautiful combination. But until then, we'll keep you guys up to date with everything Chicago Bears related content. Me and Venom are gonna go see the movie. Venom, you got anything to say, brother, man? No. Until then, man, we'll check you guys out next time. Peace. Bird on, baby.
Give them a shot to do what?